Okay, so anyone else have ranted stuck in their head the last 2 days? Destination. Thanks, Ruby. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 70 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast, powered by the Eastern Observer. You can taste the power. Tastes so good. Tastes so good. You got a full slate here today other than last week. John Rhyme, you missed a fun 69 joke full episode between me and James County. I showed a sex tape. A lot of fun last week. We're glad to have you guys back. We'll start with Ryan Joy on the top from minutestobelltime.com. Ryan, pretty legitimate excuse why you weren't on last week and why you took the week off of the Daily Wrestling News Show. 88 matches, huh?
88 matches, and I'm glad that I missed the live sex taping that you and John DeConnie apparently did last week. So, 88 matches.
Yeah,
I just reporting the news, guys.
It was a live 69 celebration, kind of like
that's what I heard, John. You didn't hear that, John Smith? That's exactly what Al just said, isn't it?
So, Ryan, we'll get into more of your trip to Chicago. I'm sure you got a lot to report. You and Travis talked for about an hour this morning on the Daily Wrestling News Show. It just sounded like an absolute amazing time. Very jelly over here. Down on the bottom right part of the screen, John Smith. Mike made his cousin. John, real quick, I know you haven't seen this yet. Look at these two handsome guys right here.
Oh, would you look at that? I don't
Look
look
at
too fat.
Wedding pictures are in.
Looking good, and they don't have the stupid watermark on them. I like it.
Yeah. My wife and I went through 1,500 photos, 6 videos. Absolutely an incredible time. John Smith, you actually went to your first indie show as well this past weekend.
Yes, I got to see Rikishi Stinkface, some random guy.
There you go.
Got Little Guido versus Danny Doring. It was great. Dangerous Danny Davis was a special guest referee for a match.
Wow.
Can't rely on
Danny
him.
Doring, I think Roadkill was on Dynamite a couple weeks ago, right? Was that Roadkill or who was that guy? Anyway. And then on the bottom part of the screen, John DeConnie, I saved you for last. I don't know if you heard at the beginning of All Out. It was I believe it was on the buy-in because I don't believe JR was there yet. Excalibur had the gall, the absolute gall, to call Tony Schiavone the living legend.
Oh, dear God. I definitely missed that one because that would have 100% been in the notes somewhere had I heard it.
I almost turned the show off. I'm like, first of all, there he goes, Tony Schiavone ripping off John DeConnie. But who the hell? No, that's Schiavone of all people.
Within the actual wrestling world, to use that nickname, the unmitigated gall, sir.
The gall. John DeConnie, as the wedding pictures are in. Your brother was in my wedding party. He came in strong. He brought the Winged Eagle belt for me to play during our pictures. I know it is not the old WCW title with the NWO on it, but you give me a championship belt. God, you can't help but just play an air guitar on it, So that was a very thoughtful gesture from your brother, and I was glad to be part of it. I'm upset that you weren't a part of it, Ryan. We were upset that you weren't there. But you know what? Episode 70, huge weekend this past weekend, huge week this past week. Let's get right into it. Roman Reigns successfully defended the Universal Championship on SmackDown. The Hurt Business earned a tag team title shot last night on Raw. Tommy Dreamer couldn't get it done on Impact. Gary Mehaffy is back with us to discuss NXT UK and the number 1 contenders Heritage Cup tournament, which has been in progress the past couple of weeks and will continue going forward until we get a challenger for Mr. Tyler Bate. Ryan Joy, who's on screen right now, he'll be joining us in the next segment to discuss Ring of Honor's big show this Sunday, Death Before Dishonor. We make our picks for this week's upcoming shows. You will see the graphics and the down on the ticker once we start getting into each segment. You'll see the match times presented by Ryan Joy this week by John DeConnie because Ryan was away in Chicago. Thank you, John DeConnie, for your work on that one. And minutestobelltime.com. Thank you, Ryan, for supplying the graphics. We're going to main event our show with what I'm assuming is the end of an era with the last episode of the Black and Gold brand as it turns into the splattered paint brand, I guess. Make our picks almost, oh my God, I almost forgot. We're going to make our picks always sponsored by ProWrestlingPick'em.com. Play against your friends. Play against the universe. Guys, she will like it too. But we're going to curtain jerk the show. The only way we can. We got to lead off with what was the big stories out of everything. AEW All Out. Ryan Joy, you were there. 10 matches, 9 plus the buy-in. One match got bumped to this Friday on Rampage. We'll get into that. But main event, obviously you put Christian Cage in the main event. That's just a no-brainer. He actually happens to be challenging for the AEW Championship. So I was happy that the championship got put into the main event as well. But Ryan Joy, your experience for the main event for Kenny Omega and everything that happened after the fact.
The crowd was on fire all night. So it was just kind of building and building and building to this point. And, kind of like studying the clock a little bit, you figure they're going to go off like on the hour or something like that. And they've got like 15 minutes before the hour and the match ends. Kenny Omega, they used a bunch of tables in this match, but the match ends with Kenny Omega hitting the one-winged angel on Christian from the ropes. And he gets a pin. Of course, the Elite doing what the Elite does, they have to do a post-match beatdown just to make sure Christian Cage doesn't come back. Out comes Jurassic Express. They beat them down too. And then the lights went out. And while you couldn't see anything, boy, could you hear an awful lot of people that were just so excited to see what was going to happen when the lights came on. The yes chants were going like crazy, but it wasn't. It was not Bryan Danielson that came out. It was Adam Cole, baby. And he comes to the ring. He joins the Elite, gives Jungle Boy a super kick. He's happy to be there with story time with Adam Cole, baby. And then, after all that, the great equalizer, Bryan Danielson, comes to the ring. And he they get a little bit of a skirmish. Kenny Omega takes a hike, like most world champions would do in that situation. But, of course, he just had wrestled a match. So whatever. It was great. It was loud. Bryan Danielson did a promo afterwards. And just so everybody knows, he said, I loved where I worked before. And I still came here because I'm a wrestler. And, this is, and so he's really excited to wrestle all the young people and stuff in the company. But he did put over WWE very strongly in his promo that closed the show. And I'm sure that's available on YouTube or whatever at this point, but it was a nice feel-good moment to send us home happy.
Talking about WWE, they get boo when they announced those 3 letters. I mean, that's kind of thing. You say those 3 letters there,
he said, "Boy, what I'm about to say is not going to get a good reaction in this audience." But then he proceeds to say, "I loved where I used to work," and in fact, he went on to say that he had family, not only that, everybody there was kind of like his family. And in fact, he actually had actual family members that worked there. So, it was, yes. So he got booed for that. And then, he brought it around to be on.
He needs to roll with this. John DeConnie and I discussed it last week. He needs to roll with this, start calling it the AEW universe. Start calling guys superstars. Like, he would be the most hated guy in AEW if he tries to transition all that stuff over. That would be absolutely brilliant in my opinion, but that's far be from me. John DeConnie, first things first, before we get into the career-threatening match, Kenny P, who's watching now on my Facebook feed, my personal Facebook feed, just found the comment, he will not stand for any Tony Schiavone slander.
Well, he and I can get into that at a later date because those are fighting words.
But Jonathan Connie, you yourself, me and you, when we had our little one-on-one last week, more so me than you, I was extremely adamant that as great as the Jericho story was going up, and yes, his career should have been on the line in that match, but just the timing with CM Punk and now knowing that Adam Cole and Ruby Soho and Bryan Danielson were all going to, this would have just been the absolute worst possible time for Chris Jericho to retire.
Yeah, it would have washed away any weight that outcome would have had. But that wasn't the case, so it all worked out okay. Jericho got played to the ring. Oh, well, yeah. In fact, it seemed that it was over. So Jericho gets played to the ring by his guitarist from Fozzy, Billy Gray. They have a 20-plus minute match. They're outside. MJF is selling a severe back injury almost from the get-go. But during some of the hullabaloo, he manages to get his hands on Floyd. And MJF puts Floyd right in Chris Jericho's face. Then MJF delivers a Judas effect, goes for the cover, and Aubrey Edwards counts 1, 2, 3. But as we all saw, thank goodness the demo god got his foot on the ropes. And thank goodness we've just decided on this particular evening that we're going to allow instant replay or allow outside judgment to be made. A second referee comes down and tells Aubrey, "You messed up, girl. His foot was on the ropes." She admits she's okay with it. We restart the match. And continuing to sell the hurt back, MJF gets locked in the walls of Jericho. Now, on the talk-along thread, I had called the minute he started selling the back injury that what they should go home with and what I hope should have been properly called, because it is different, is the Lion Tamer. And you saw Jericho start to step back to put his knee into MJF's back, but he stumbled a little bit. They clearly were freaking exhausted at that point. There you go. And so that he didn't fall over, Jericho abandoned the Lion Tamer, went back into the walls of Jericho, and MJF did tap. You get the submission win, and Chris Jericho's career is safe.
There you go. Like I said, unfortunately, now that Christian is out of the running to be AEW World Champion, him and Jericho need to get those tag straps. Give them one last run together. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'll bet you $1.
Especially if you bring Trish Stratus in.
Yeah, I was saying, I'll bet you $1 Canadian. Now, the con, you're going to stick with you. CM Punk brought a shovel to the ring with him at All Out.
Yeah. So this match, there was. I love.
Is it only when Hunter does it? And it's a shovel. Only when Triple H beats somebody is that guy's buried and everybody else is fine.
There's a difference.
Well, exactly. When Triple H figures start coming with golden shovels in their, blister pack, I mean, it's a thing.
Becky Lynch apparently's got the shovel now too. So I got it.
So here we have CM Punk, the hometown boy in Chicago, blowing the roof off of whatever Chicago venue he steps into, doing crowd dives and whatnot. And he's against Darby Allin. Darby Allin is, as homegrown gets in AEW talent, and a guy who's, as over with the fans as anyone in the company. And these two go 16-plus minutes. And what I loved about this match, and, it's amazing how you can find these little Easter eggs after the fact. Earlier in the week, I think it was on Rampage when Punk was sitting at the commentary booth, he was wearing a Bret Hart T-shirt. And then this match turned out segments of this match. There was the segment that went, headlock, snapmare takeover, and Punk kind of looked at the camera and went like, There was the superplex that Darby turned over into a crossbody. There was the plancha to the outside. These were all move-for-move segments taken from a Bret Hart versus 1, 2, 3 Kid match from like 1997. And it's that kind of crap that you get from a guy like CM Punk, who just, you say what you want about him overall as a character and him walking away and shit talk the WWE. The guy loves wrestling, loves the history of wrestling, and that was pretty awesome. In the end, it was the go to sleep for the win. Afterwards, Sting would come to the ring. He offers a respectful handshake to Punk. They both go over to Allen, kind of pick him up, dust him off, pat him on the back. You get a handshake there between Punk and Darby Allin. And now we can stop worrying about him burying talent. He will be there to lift these youngsters up going forward, I'm sure, with 100% certainty.
That's the difference, by the way, too. That's how you don't end up burying somebody when you lift them up after the match. That's the difference. I don't think Triple H did that to Booker at WrestleMania.
It's okay. Booker didn't go on to win the World Championship after that. So
Booker got buried.
Booker. Yeah, he went on to be a 3-time World Champion after the WrestleMania.
And a 2-time Hall of Famer too.
2-time Hall of Famer. He was done. He was done after 19. He was done. 2 things. CM Punk with the go to CM Punk ripping off Kenta.
That's true. Now that's true.
There you go. I'm going to call him out on that one. 2, I have said a lot of bad stuff about Sting over the course of this program. I would have never said a bad thing about him ever again if he would have sucker punched CM Punk right then and there. There was such a misopportunity. I would have been waving that Sting flag all over the place. Woo! Oh my God, that would have been the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He didn't do it. Sting is a good guy at heart, but man, I'm screaming, do it, and punch him.
I was actually thinking it would be the other way. I was cheering the other way, that I was wanting Sting to sucker punch. Well, that's what you said. Never mind. That's what you said.
Punk,
Yeah.
John Smith, your neck of the woods here. Your best friend Penta, his brother. They got it done. They just seem to have the Young Bucks number. I believe Excalibur threw the statistic out there during the broadcast. Before that match, they had 8 matches against each other, and the Lucha Brothers are winning the series 5-3. Now I guess it's 6-3.
Yeah, and we got them in a steel cage match, which means obviously there's not going to be any interference, right? But the beginning of the match, the first about 10 minutes, what is pretty much how you would expect, just them pulling off some awesome moves. And then Cutler goes and throws some bag in the ring. Matt, it hits him right in the chest and he fumbles it. That was a loser moment by him, but whatever. Pulls out a sneaker with thumbtacks stuck to the bottom of it. You get a "you sick bleep" chant from the crowd as he's putting it on. And then they just go to town with super kicks with thumbtacks all over the Lucha Brothers. Their masks are getting ripped apart. Ends up, though, with Phoenix on the top of the cage. Why they climb to the top if there's no escapes is beyond me. Does a double cross body on both the Bucks, and then we get the double package pile driver for the 1, 2, 3, and we finally got new champs.
Yeah, the 5th ever champs in AEW history. This company's short title in it. It's tough. It's tough to be a champion in AEW. Like, I'll tell you that. That's those belts. Once they get on people, they're tough to pry off. They're the 5th team in history. Pentagon managed to just be a bloody mess. Even you can tell he was a bloody mess, even with that mask on. Like, holy crap, that's pretty intense. So shout out to Lucha Boys, the Lucha Brothers, John Smith's best friend Penta. Good work. In the AEW Women's Championship match, Britt Baker defeated Chris Statlander with a little precursor of things to come after a Panama Sunrise into the curb stomp, into the lockjaw for the win. I believe, yes, they called it the Pittsburgh Sunrise or something like that. Whatever. No. Panama Sunrise. That's screw it. It was fun. I was like, oh, okay, Adam Cole's around somewhere. He's somewhere. Ryan Joy, Britt Baker will now challenge the winner of the Casino Battle Royale. 20 women were in the ring. We were waiting on the Joker, and now we have songs stuck in our head that we will never get out of it.
So, you've alluded to the fact I was there. I was there at the event with my wife, Maggie, who's been on the show before, and Travis, who's also been on the show before. And we're sitting there, and Maggie just all of a sudden, we're getting ready to do the Casino Battle Royal, and she gets so upset. And I'm like, what the heck's wrong with you? This is like the match you're looking forward to. Well, she got mad because the match was following Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks, and people were getting up to like go smoke a cigarette after that awesome cage match. And so she's all mad to start the match, but then we get into it, and it ended up being a really good battle royal. Justin Roberts explains that people are coming out every couple of minutes or whatever, and you had all the 20 people that we knew about. Sky Blue, by the way, got an incredible reaction, and there was a very heavy booze when she was eliminated immediately. Yeah. But Chicago had their person in there. When it got around time for that Joker, though, as we had the spades were the last suit, and so during that 2 minutes, we started getting chants. The chants were, "We want Tessa," followed by "No, we don't" chants. So it was very interesting to see how that played out. And then, but when the 10-second clock came down, the Ruby Soho chants started, and man, they hardly stopped until after the Casino Battle Royal was done. Ruby came out. She said in the media scrum afterwards that she had never heard her name chanted, and this was an incredible moment for her. It was an incredible moment for the AEW's women's division. Ruby Soho is part of All Elite Wrestling now. She won the match, which was also cool because not often does the surprise entrant like that actually win the Battle Royal. So she wins. She defeats Thunder Rosa in the end. They had a cool segment on the outside of the ring where they were fighting back and forth on the apron before it actually happened. So good first outing for Ruby Soho. She has a tall road ahead of her this Wednesday because she'll be facing Jamie Hayter tomorrow. Yeah, there you go. Ruby Soho debuts on Dynamite. We didn't know that she was going to be having a match. We just knew that she was going to make her first Dynamite appearance, and it will be against Jamie Hayter. So, boy, I guess she's going to have to probably go through the Friends of Britt Baker gauntlet before she gets to Britt Baker, I assume. So.
Yeah, we got a couple months. If I were them, I'd save this for Full Gear. We only have 2 months, I believe, so 8 weeks.
November 13th. They moved it because of the boxing match or whatever. There's some other real sport is happening that day.
All right, so we got anyone gonna pick Jamie Hayter? John Smith gonna pick Jamie Hayter this one?
No.
Actually, Mike Maida just chimed in. John Smith. Mike Maida had the Young Bucks won it would have been their 10th straight title defense. Lucha Brothers deserve the titles, so I guess you two. I know you guys don't really see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. I kind of see more eye to eye than he does with him than you do. He's a big Miz fan,
but he's a Shivani fan though, so he gets no credit for anything.
Yeah, and he hates Pat McAfee, which I find weird. It's okay. That's whatever.
He's from Pennsylvania. They're all backwards.
Regarding that Lucha Bros and Young Bucks match, I was kind of nudging Travis and Maggie during the match after the match, I guess, because they had won 2 years ago. They won the ladder match, then they won this one. And I said to Maggie, I'm like, man, 2 years from now, we'll be sitting in these seats again, and maybe we'll be seeing a hair versus mask match again. The two teams, which is major tradition in Lucha Libre. And wouldn't you know it, Pentagon actually said that. He said, if it's okay with Tony Khan, we'd like that to be the next match between us. So,
yeah, but Ryan, I don't like seeing these matches over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, you're right, Al. I don't want to see it this week.
They're gonna rip it overall.
Maybe 2 years from now. Yeah. Very few matches have gone to 3.
The rest of the all-out card, Miro defeated Eddie Kingston with a mule kick to retain the TNT title. A lot of referee issues in this match with the turnbuckle being exposed. That referee was a little out of control in that match, but whatever. I guess Miro gets the win. Paul White defeated QT Marshall with a choke slam. Best Friends and Jurassic Express defeated the Hardy front office after a snare trap by Jungle Boy on Angelico. The Butcher returned to lay out Orange Cassidy post-match. Speaking of hair, he tried to cut actually Orange Cassidy's hair, and then the entire locker room poured out to make sure nobody touches it. I bet Orange Cassidy's hair is completely sacred. So, the locker room poured out for that, including Johnny Hungee. So it was good to see John Silver back. One match, like I said, did not make it. Pac unfortunately had some travel issues. Not sure what happened there. Chavo said he might have some sort. Now Chavo doesn't know anything now. But they're going to do it on Rampage this Friday night. So Brian Joy, John DeConnie, John Smith, and myself all had Andrade. I believe Gary, Travis, and even Tyler had Andrade on this show. Is there any reason to change the outcome of this match? Brian Joy.
Not for me. I think Andrade is going to take it for sure. He's just getting started. I think he needs the wins.
All right, that's the same theory we had for Lance Archer, John DeConnie.
Yeah, Andrade. It was, I think, more of a lock for him to get his first pay-per-view win than his second or third win on a Dynamite or a Rampage. But I still think Andrade's going to take it.
All right, John Smith, you going to change your pick?
No, he's got Chavo there, so it'll be because of that. I don't see him winning clean.
All right, Ryan Joy, one more match for you since you are also our senior and New Japan correspondent. We had an interpromotional matchup with former IWGP United States champion Jon Moxley and Kojima. Match was really great, but then this was the biggest pop for me out of all the surprises and out of all the people that came out. This was, for me, I was like, oh.
This was a big one. Yeah, it was a big one. And hey, Kojima looked good. He's at the latter stages of his career. And not only did he look good from a wrestling perspective, he looked to be only about 35 years old. Whatever makeup they put on him, he looked great. I think he fooled everybody that wasn't familiar with him that he was, in the later stages of his career. But you're right. As soon as that music hit after the match, and they had the King up on the big screens, and you had the little water flowing thing that signifies Minoru Suzuki's entrance. The building just exploded, and I am jealous of the people that are going to be in the Nasty Natty on tomorrow night to see Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki. This is going to be fun. I've seen it before on television. They had a match in New Japan. It was one of Moxley's United States Championship title defenses back in January or February of 2020 before the pandemic started. Man, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, so who do you got? Like I said, we got Moxley in his hometown of Cincinnati going against. If I ever saw him, I just would run. He's just a bad man.
Yeah, similar
Can't
to
go
my
against Mox in
experience.
Cincinnati. Ryan Joy?
It's similar to my experience running into Shayna Baszler. I was like, let me go the other way. It's Moxley in his hometown in Cincinnati. He's going to win this, I think, for sure. I could be wrong, but...
I got a funny feeling this might be an exception, though. John Smith?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think he lays down for Suzuki in his hometown. I think he wouldn't mind doing that.
You know what? He's been laying down for a lot of people, it seemed like, lately, just trying to get everybody over. He's trying to be doing what he was sent there to do, put over young talent, right, John DeConnie? Young talent like Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Sure.
Give me Moxley. Let him have a nice day in his hometown. I'm sure. Well, I'm sure somebody else will wind up jumping him by the end of the show anyway. But give me Moxley in this match.
Exactly. What are we gonna get Tanahashi? Tanahashi's got to be next. Well, is he going G1?
Tanahashi's in the G1, so he won't be coming over.
Then the last match that we have for Dynamite this Wednesday that we know of at this moment, we're gonna have Dustin Rhodes going against Malachi Black. Any reason why Dustin wins this match, John DeConnie?
I would not think so. He's very mad, as Malachi said, and because he's mad, he will slip up, and he will probably get a black mass. And it makes sense for Malachi to run through.
John Smith?
Yeah, I got Malachi Black winning this. Is that a yarmulke on his head in that?
No, it's dark. It's dark hair. Yeah, I know.
I already deleted it. I'm sorry. I should wait till the segment's over where I delete graphics. Ryan Joy.
I don't care how mad Dustin Rhodes is. Yeah. He's not going to get a win here.
All right. So here are our standings after All Out. I've made jokes and cracks before that AEW is extremely predictable. Most of you, guys, well, congratulations, and most of you guys. I mean, I know you went against the grain and picked Kenny Omega over Christian Cage. I kind of went with the odds-on favorite and the obvious outcome. So you guys were right on that one. You all got the Battle Royal wrong, although John the Connie and myself, we came close with Thunder Rosa. She was there at the end. But here's the point I want to make about this one as we go over to the overall standings. Let's leave them for you guys to read as I'm saying this. As predictable as this show was, I mean, like everybody had all the same picks and whatnot. It was still amazing. Like nobody cared.
Yeah.
That to me is absolutely a remarkable thing. What AEW can do is put out 10 matches. You know who's going to win, and nobody cares. Nobody matters. It doesn't matter. It's just screw it. It's just wrestling, and the outcomes don't matter. So, kudos to AEW on that one. Real quick break, promotional segment real quick, because we're going to open our own Forbidden Door here, boys. First, quick plug for the Primetime Rundown, now going back to its home on Friday nights, starting next Saturday. They're off this week, but they are returning, I believe it's September 17th, for the Primetime Rundown, and the Forbidden Door will be open, and we have laid the challenge down. They said no to fantasy football, but we're going to do a little bit of a Survivor football pool where it's going to be Team Essential Wrestling Podcast against Team Primetime Rundown. How we got Tyler on our team, I have no idea. I believe the stakes were whoever wins, the losing team has to keep Tyler on their payroll. So I believe we have to come together here, boys, to make sure. But we are challenging the big boys, the guys on Friday nights who supposedly know sports, and that's their thing. Yeah, we're not one-trick ponies over here either. We're football fans as well. We're going to throw our names in the hat. And every once in a while, the door will open. Maybe, John Smith will be on the Primetime Rundown and discuss his football pick, or maybe John DeConnie. Maybe we can have Ian Schreier here on the Essential Wrestling Podcast to go over a little stuff. But we had 17 weeks here, boys. We get one team a week. If that team wins, we get a win. If that team loses, we get a loss. We just go forward. We just can't use the same team twice. That's the only stipulation. So, real quick, Ryan Joy, if you looked at the football, I know you're big in the football. Have you looked at the football schedule yet?
No. But I know who I'm picking for MVP. It's that new quarterback, Dan Marino.
Dan Marino is going to be good this year. He's going to have a good season, Dan Marino. All right, so John Smith, John DeConnie, we're going to give you guys a little bit of a break, go get some groceries, say hello to your loved ones. We're going to keep Ryan Joy on screen right now because Ring of Honor, we haven't really talked about them all that much, but they actually have a very big show coming up this weekend.
Yeah, they do. It's called The Death Before Dishonor, and there's several matches on there, and there's a couple of key ones though that I think people need to look out for. By the way, it's this Sunday. I believe it's at 7 p.m. You can get it on Honor Club or whatever. Probably on Fight TV as well. But the World Championship, Alan will bring up the graphic here. The World Championship is being contested in a 4-way elimination match. Bandito is defending against Brody King, EC3, and Demonic Flamita. So that's going to be the main event. But the other thing that's interesting is the Women's World Title Tournament, which they have been talking about for well over a year, and they finally got that underway earlier a couple of months ago. We got the finals. It's Roxy versus Miranda Alizé. They are the first two people I think that were entered into the tournament. Roxy, 17 years old, and she's trained by Booker T. Miranda Alizé, another young woman. They both have officially signed with Ring of Honor. So no clues there as to who was going to come out as the winner, but I think really fun to see these finals come to this point. The Pure Championship's on the line. Jonathan Gresham versus Josh Woods. That should be a lot of fun. Good match. But if you keep scrolling down through the card, you end up seeing that they were advertising two people that were recently made available. The hot free agents were going to be wrestling against each other. And as you scroll down through, see my card here on the screen, It's Jake Atlas versus Taylor Rust, who I believe he was Tyler Rust in NXT, and Jake Atlas was Jake Atlas in NXT. So that's going to be a match that they have on here. You got Dalton Castle versus Eli Isom, the Briscoes versus Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. So it should be a good card. They are having a pre-show Honor 1. That'll be available probably on their YouTube and everything else. It's going to be a Royal Rumble style battle royal. The winner will get an ROH World Championship match. So a good little show that they have coming up this weekend.
Yeah, Death Before Dishonor. That's one of their big times. That's the one that's been around for, I think it's like that and Best in the World, maybe are their two oldest ones.
Yeah, they have Death Before Dishonor. Final Battle is with the other. It's their big one, and that's December. But yeah, their anniversary show, Death Before Dishonor, Best in the World. They're 4 or 5 per year that are sort of their big shows. I did want a couple other indie things to mention before we get out of here.
Sounds good.
John Moxley, who we just talked about, he won the GCW World Championship from the Deathmatch King himself, Matt Cardona, over the weekend. It was a quick match. After we saw War Games from GCW, which is an incredible concept because there's light tubes and panes of glass and scaffolding next to the War Games cage. No top on it, by the way, so it's the open cage like they have in.
Yeah, well, normally things are better when they're topless. Yeah.
There you go. Exactly. So after we see that car wreck of a match, then we have Matt Cardona come out. He has an open challenge, which he quickly beats Frank the Clown. But then out come the Druids and this other guy who G Raver. He comes out with all his Druids. He leaves, but one of the Druids stays behind, and he starts doing the Moxley shoulder thing. And yes, it's John Moxley. He gives Cardona quickly a DDT, gets the W. He wins, and he won the title. I'm not sure how that worked. Cardona defended the title twice. He lost on the second one, but then immediately we have a Nick Gage versus John Moxley match that's made for October 9th. So that will be a big match coming up. It's going to be his first title defense. The other thing I wanted to mention, which, by the way, that is available on Fight TV if people want to go back and watch that car wreck of a show. It had like 1,500 people in a building that really should have had no more than 600. So that's available on Fight TV, GCW Art of War Games. Another show that I went to in Chicago, AAW's Destination Chicago. The main event was Josh Alexander versus Fred Yehai for the AAW Championship. It went 60 minutes to a draw, and man, they wrestled all over the place. Great match. You don't get to see 60-minute draw too often, so it's definitely worth people seeking out if they want to see something like that. You don't get to see it too often, so.
Yeah, man, 60 minutes of Josh. Yeah, I would sign up. We saw that a couple of weeks ago against TJP, and it was absolutely amazing. So
he's the Iron Man, and So the other thing about Josh is he just recently posted on Twitter that he is only now becoming a full-time wrestler. So what he was doing before is wrestling on the weekends, coming home and working his shoot job in construction. Yeah. So congratulations to Josh. He's wearing his double singlet or whatever they call that outfit that he wears. And it says Iron Man down his back. So that's going to be, I think, his shtick is he's going to be wrestling super long matches on all the independents now. So.
All right. Well, Ryan, I appreciate. I know you. And then we have the G1 starts. We're going to talk about that next week. I know you and Travis talked about it a little bit this morning on the Daily Wrestling News Show. I'm sure you two are going to get into it in more detail next Tuesday when Travis is your guest co-host. He's your Tuesday staple. But yeah, looking forward to the G1. Looking forward to talking about that with you.
Absolutely, and I think there's only one thing left for me to do now, and that's to bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night. Bang.
You know what? That's not nice of you to rub it in my face like that. Go enjoy your 17 hours of dark. Have fun. Are we going to bring back in John Smith? John Smith's not in his chair. I'll bring him in anyway because normally he likes to surprise me with groceries or something like that, but it does not look like he's on. So, John the Connie, we'll just
What happened to Gary?
Gary, aren't we? Yeah, we're supposed to go to Gary. I think John Smith, he's... All right, John, so we'll talk to you after the next segment. How about that? My bad, Gary. I have my notes ready, too. I specifically just pulled
Nice.
And... Oh, man. Gary's happy evening to you. How are things going, pal?
Not too bad. Actually, I do have to say, just in case I do forget, with all the big comebacks this weekend, my own personal highlight, obviously, ABBA are back. So, obviously, it has to be said. Get that rancid tune out of your head.
Are you a big fan of Dancing Queen?
That's it. Get a bit of Dancing Queen and Mamma Mia in your head instead of rancid. That's what we need.
There you go. Having the time of our lives, Gary. There you go. It only makes sense. Gary, the show started on NXT UK last Thursday. We were supposed to get Blair Davenport versus Nina Samuels. What is it with the UK women, Dewdrop, who just are just back jumping these women from behind here? Like, this is not nice.
I know. I was surprised. I mean, we talked last week and we were saying about how it was going to be heel versus heel type of thing and what would they do. And obviously, they didn't do it at all. Now, they'll build up to something. And obviously, with her giving Sid Scala a V-trigger and a Falcon Arrow as well, dear help him. But, she just kind of beat up Nina Samuels before the match. Made a statement almost of going, I'm here. I'm just going to kick everybody's head in. What are you going to do about it? So, they may well just go.
Serious repercussions coming her way, though. Don't get me wrong. It's always fun to see Sid Scala get beat up, but like
they may well just go straight or very quickly to Meiko Satomura. They may just kind of go if she does it to anybody else and doesn't listen. The Meiko just goes, you know what, Sid, take a walk here. Come on, bring it on, and see, kind of let them loose, which would be a great match. But that
would be a great match. Yes. Maybe too soon. Like that's. I mean, they made
Adelle
jump through all the action hoops before she got before a match with Meiko.
Yeah, I mean, although I did. I mean, when Blair came at first, now it was I had said that as a thought of going. You know what? Bring her in, shoot her to the top, and let her just go. So I don't, as you say, I don't think they will, but it's something that I would definitely have considered. So.
Yeah, it's definitely she's going to be a star now that Kaylee Ray is gone. They need like an angry, vicious, like nasty heel. Ginny potentially. The next thing on my list right now is Effie Valkyrie. Even though she beat Ginny 2 weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago in that no disqualification, Effie Valkyrie is the one that's injured.
Yeah,
and it was the flip off the rope that might have done it. It did kind of bend the wrong way, but Valkyrie, she's to her credit. If she was seriously injured, she'd fall through the match, and Ginny's going to take credit for it. That's.
Yeah, I know, and it's the sort of thing. I mean, I don't know if how badly she's injured or not, but if she is, it's the sort of thing, as you say, completely make it working in the storyline. Just have Jenny go, oh yeah, you might have beat me, but I've put you out of action, and all of a sudden you've extended the feud, you've added another layer to it. So,
and it's something to circle back to. Like Ginny can have them in like a small program. And like I said, the first name that came to mind is actually another name that's it's right under my notes because I know there's a very women's strong episode with the UK because they do have a very strong division. Amelia McKenzie, she defeated Amal, and that's a huge win. She got with the Royal roll-up. I think we'll call that what it is. But it was a good match, and Amal was on a hot streak. So for Amelia McKenzie to get, even with a roll-up, Amelia McKenzie to get the wrestling win here, that's big for her.
It is, because I was very surprised, as you said, because Amal has been on a bit of a tear and they've given her a wee bit of push, a bit of momentum. When I saw she was facing Amelia, I went, oh, okay, well, like how will this go? What will happen? And all of a sudden, with Amelia taking it, you were like going, okay. And as you say, because they've given Amal that wee bit of build up, it then gives Amelia something else. You go, okay, she's beating somebody. It's not just she's beating Amal who hasn't beaten anybody in ages. She's actually beating somebody who's on the up. So. Yeah,
that'd be a big win for her. And like I said, whatever that watch is, that Isla Dawn, like I think I'm actually looking forward to what's going to happen with this whole thing. And Amelia McKenzie is involved in that. I think she's really good. I'm looking forward to seeing more of her. Jack Stars and Dave Massis, they stayed on their winning ways. They got a win versus Inaction last week.
Yeah, Jack Stars has obviously been watching how the Ultimate Warrior ran the ropes obviously towards the end with his 47 run ropes back and forth before he hit his headbutt. I really am looking forward to this tag team. It has to be said, they're growing on me more and more. Obviously, Jack Stars lost his tag partner when Dewdrop went across and took out the trash and Eva Marie, obviously, and they but now they seem to have got this big man, little man. I think it'll be good. You can see them. They did mention stuff about Pretty Deadly and stuff down the line and how good they thought this tag team was, and you kind of go, okay. So you can see where they're going eventually. So
yeah, they're eventually going to hit Pretty Deadly, and you kind of think, that begs the question: are they going to be the ones to beat Pretty Deadly? But that question, it might never get answered because during a photo shoot, the Gallus boys, specifically the Coffee Brothers, decided they wanted to interrupt Pretty Deadly's photo shoot.
Yeah. I have to say, I mean, for me, Pretty Deadly are gamer than me, because if Mark and Joe Coffey walked up and started trash talking me, I think I would just give them a belt and go, thanks very much for that.
You're good. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You win.
So that looks like that's where they're going with that. With Pretty Deadly, they're probably gonna have Gallus first, and then maybe if they get past them, then they're gonna have Jack and Massive. Because they're starting to get to that point where Kaylee Ray was at, where like, okay, well, who's left for?
Yeah.
But then again, you can always just throw random people together like Raw did. Like I was shocked last night on Raw. 8 tag teams in a tag team tournament. Really? Okay, let's see. Oh, sure. With the Heritage Cup tournament, we're winding down in the first round, Gar. Real quick before we get to this Thursday's matchup, we had the third first round matchup between Nathan Frazier and Teal Man. And I have in my notes, Teal Man defeats Nathan Frazier 2-1 after 5 rounds with a what the bleep was that DDT.
Yeah, it looked awesome.
I watched it twice. I'm like, I still don't know how he did that. That was incredible.
It really did, and that's why I love, actually, when you listen to the Nigel McGuinness and Andy Shepherd when they're commentating. Even when they did it, they were like, "What is that?" It was brilliant. I mean, it was, and actually, I was genuinely happy because I've said over and over that Teal Man came in with this big rep, and his character is great. The family stuff is great, but in the ring, I keep going, he hasn't done it for me yet. He hasn't shown me anything. This match was brilliant. He was great. He did things he's never done before on the brand. He was doing moves, and as I say, whether including that DDT at the end where it looked like he had just killed the UK's favorite country and western wrestler.
That was kind of country western. I kind of was like, all right, dude, stay down. Like that move was too awesome. Stay down. Like don't kick out of that. Don't kick out of that. That was too cool.
Yeah. No, it was great. I would say it was really good, and I'm pleased to see them go forward. So it leads to an interesting match for the last of the first round matches, to be fair. But
yeah, and we'll get to that in a second. My question is, okay, so now what for Nathan Frazier? Because you said it, we had the conversation last week. I picked Nathan Frazier, like, got to be sometime soon because he can't keep eating these L's.
Yeah.
He can survive losses, and he has been surviving losses, but I get kick-started at some point here.
I'm with you. I don't think he can afford too many more losses. I think now he needs to kind of, whether it's some sort of tag team or whether they just have to kind of go, okay, and reset him and take him back and start it all over again with him, because I think he's had too many losses in a row now, and he is starting to get that point where you go, yeah, he's really good and everybody knows he's good, but if he's not getting the chance, what's the point? So I think he needs to they need to give him a little bit of steam, but here's hoping.
Yep. Here we got going to this Thursday, the final first round matchup. Teal Man will get the winner of this. We got Wolfie and Sam Gradwell. Like I said, Wolfie's been training for this. He wasn't even a part of the Pretty Deadly situation. It was just Mark Walsh, bullying Pretty Deadly.
That's what I was surprised because when I heard or when you saw that somebody from Gallus was coming, I thought, oh, it's the two Coffees. It wasn't Wolfgang. I know he had this match coming up.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you look at who, I just have it up here. I'm going to bring it up because obviously you've got Noam Dar, Kenny Williams, and Teal Man, all three, and you kind of need some sort of plucky babyface of some description, I think, going through. And so that's why I do think, I know Sam Gradwell is the sort of wrestler who can afford the loss every now and again, although he's got a lot better and have given him some stuff. But I do think that that Wolfgang's going to take this one. I think Wolfgang will win it and then face Teoman in the semi-final. So
yeah, I'm going to go with Wolfie as well because they're kind of playing the face-ish guys, having fun and doing whatever.
Yeah.
Like exactly, you got 3 cocky, aerodynamic heels. You need something to. Like I said, unfortunately, I think Wolfie's going to be in the final. I think Wolfie would beat Teoman if that's the case here.
Yeah.
So, we'll go with Wolfie on this one, and good for him. He's getting back in the singles action. He was a part of the original 8, right? Or was it 8 people in that original tournament? Wolfie's a day 1 guy. So, also they're going to do a replay of the Walter versus Ilya Dragunov championship match from TakeOver. I guess with more in-depth analysis. I guess this is the bonus footage, the Schneider cut. For those who want to look at it that way, it's the Schneider cut of Walter and Dragunov, and then. Symbiosis, they challenged Saxon Huxley. I guess he was descendant of the Berserker. I saw a lot of Berserker out of him in that locker room scene. He ended up going with Oliver Carter, Ashton Smith to be his partners. So Symbiosis got a problem, I guess, with all 3 of these guys. They're going to have a 6-man tag going on Thursday. So who do you got?
I am going to go Symbiosis. Now, I'm not necessarily some of their biggest fans, Eddie Dennis in particular, as far as in the ring, although he's okay, but outside the ring, he's great. But I think as a 6-man, I say I'm less, even again, I'm a fan of Saxon Huxley. But that's just a personal opinion. I'm sure he's lovely. But I'm going to go Symbiosis to take it because they're the threesome. I think they're the group that you can see them going to put a wee bit of stuff behind. So
yeah, and that is just Saxon Huxley and even Carter and Smith don't know that much. Like they're approaching Jack Starr's level type of. When was the last time any of those guys won? So,
and there was even actually I noticed was it at the end of it. I thought I can't even remember what the comment was, but there was like a sarcastic comment I think from Oliver. I think it was Oliver Carter, and he's the one who went along where I've gone. Yeah, if he turns, I half expected him to turn on Ashton Smith every now and again. And actually join the family. I'd always thought that might head that way, but we'll see.
All right. Well, Gary, I know it's a little bit later than usual. We normally have you on earlier than this. We appreciate it. All Out was an absolutely great show.
Now that you remembered about me.
And then I normally don't do the individual segments back to back. I said usually Ryan's at the end. I try to get the pretty people up first, and then Ryan on the end. So. But Gary, appreciate you staying up late with us as always. Looking forward to talking some more UK with you next week.
Yep, I shall see you then. Have a good one.
All right, and now we will bring back in John Smith and John.
Oh man, you should have seen me, man. I thought I screwed up. Yeah, I was over in the art closet, and I was just like, oh no, I was putting it out. Because I was watching on the phone. I was watching on my phone.
That was a false start on my, and like I said, I never do the back-to-back segments like that. This one's on me. My bad.
If you could have had a camera where I was at that moment.
Yeah. Smells like Otto's jacket. John Smith, we're going to start with you right now. We're going to lance the smack us down. We had a Universal Championship match. Big stakes match to start off a big weekend. Roman Reigns, Finn Balor.
Yeah, so Finn comes out first, and then he gets attacked by the Usos, and they work him over real good. They use the stairs on him, yada, yada. Finn's in the ring. No, I'm good to go. I still want to fight, after he sells the beatdown for a few minutes. He gets his little ball of fire right off the bat. Gets some moves in, but he can't get it done, and Roman ends up guillotining him at the end. He never had a chance once the Usos. I mean, he never had a chance to begin with, but once the Usos came out, it was already over. But then we get a little hint of the demon at the end, and that's what the whole thing really was about.
Yeah, the lights turn red. You heard the heart boom boom. It's just real quick. You're like, okay. So now, like I said, I don't know if we do Demon versus Roman. Do we just?
If they do it, Roman's gonna beat him.
I know that's why I don't want to do it.
Is Vince just out there to kill all of our dreams?
If Vince hates NXT, that's the whole thing. Now he's in control of it, so now he's gonna love it, right?
Yeah.
All right, to be continued with that. John DeConnie, the Usos, who John Smith just mentioned, they jumped in Balor. They had the match themselves before that. They had a busy night, the Usos. Non-title, I guess, champions, contenders match.
Yeah, they kicked off the show against the Street Profits. And this one was going back and forth like you would expect from these two teams, two great teams. But the Street Profits got the upper hand for a bit. You had Dawkins hitting the anointment, or you jumped into the lighting structure again to hit the big splash on Jimmy. But Jay broke it up just in time. But then Jay lost his mind and decided to just keep beating on Ford and refused to leave the ring and left the ref at choice. He had to call for a DQ, so the Street Profits win by DQ, which means in all likelihood an upcoming title match. And they continued to double team Dawkins on the floor until Ford hit a suicide dive to take them both out, all while the head of the table was watching from the locker room and wasn't all that pleased.
No, they didn't lose the titles. I guess, when you lose, you lose. But it was the beatdown. I don't think Roman was too upset. It seemed like more Roman. Okay, just get him in here. Maybe we didn't see the reprimand. We just saw them like the game plan, I guess, for Finn Balor to jump him beforehand. So I think all is well right there. And a fun side note: I believe there's a third Uso, and he was just signed. So I guess more to be continued with that. Maybe see what happens. John Smith, I thought of you when I saw this. Dolph Ziggler and Tony Storm, huh?
I mean, Dolph Ziggler was starting to get on my good side, so this is another way to do it, is to bring Tony Storm out with him so I could see her all the time. So
So she was in the back. He saw her just like any other guy. Like, oh, hey, I'm Dolph Ziggler. That was his old line. I'm Dolph Ziggler. That was his old school. And Tony's like, oh, I'm going to root for Rick Boogs. So and I was like, all right, that'll come. But maybe in the future, I kind of think that'd be a fun pairing. I think that would be good. But was it a good pairing for Dolph Ziggler? Was his match with Rick Boogs? Because Boogs dropped him in a minute, which is a little... Woo, Dolph. Oh, Dolph. Pump Handle Slam, though. Shout out to Tess. Good job, Boogs. All right. Then we had the KO show with Happy Corbin and apparently Logan Paul. That was a nice little sight for Kevin Owens. They go back to WrestleMania. Kevin Owens really doesn't like him at all. Logan Paul and KO shoved each other, and then Corbin cheap shot at KO, followed by a choke slam. So it looks like we're going to continue forward with Happy Corbin and Kevin Owens. Maybe Logan Paul involved a little more often. I don't know. We had a rematch from last week, John DeConnie. I hate these rematches. I think it's just like the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers. You keep on just burying it in the ground over and over and over again. It's getting old. I believe the word is stale, right?
Shove down our throats.
Exactly.
2 years from now, when we circle back around to Sami Zayn and Dom Mysterio, I'm just going to throw up watching that one.
The rules don't apply. The rules don't apply in certain places. Anyway, Sammy and Dom, they went back at it. Again, Ray's trying to cut the umbilical cord here, but he keeps on tying that knot.
Yeah, he stopped Sammy from walking away at one point, and that didn't work out too well because once Sammy got back in the ring, Dom ate another haluva kick and another, just about 2-minute loss. So, when is Dom going to get the snappies? He's got to be reaching his close to his breaking point, and dear old dad's going to be the one to take the brunt of that.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to get our wish. The bucket, wish, the bucket list check wish, whatever you want to call it. Is that a thing? Is that a certain thing? A check wish? Rey Mysterio as a heel. Not even, this was the perfect chance to do it, and it doesn't even look like we're going to get it. So, Naomi got passed over again. Maybe next week.
Well, isn't it Passover?
Passed over? No, Passover's in December, I thought. It's Rosh Hashanah tonight? Yom Kippur. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
It's one of the days I used to get off from school when I was younger. I remember that.
Catholic school boy.
Seth Rollins watched his match with Edge from SummerSlam about 1 million times. He now found how to beat Edge. He found out how Edge beat him, so Seth is going to try this new version of Seth Rollins on his old pal Cesaro. Cesaro got the win via disqualification. When Cesaro went to hit him with the European uppercut, and Rollins hit Cesaro with a chair. Rollins then proceeded to snap and eventually used the bottom bar of the chair to put in Cesaro's mouth during the crossface like Edge was doing to Roman Reigns. Edge came out for the save, too little, too late, but we're going to get it at the Garden this Friday. We're going to get our SummerSlam rematch. We're not going to wait for Extreme Rules. Maybe they're headed to Extreme Rules anyway, but we're getting this at the Garden. So, John Smith, do you think the tape, all of the classroom work that Seth Rollins is putting into this is going to pay off with a win over Edge?
Yeah, I think they're going to give this one to Seth Rollins.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, at some point this should work out in Rollins' favor. They could be going to Extreme Rules, so maybe Edge gets another one here. But I'm thinking Seth takes this one at MSG.
Okay, if this goes to Extreme Rules real quick, any predictions if it goes? What's the stipulation? This is gonna be one of the matches that's probably gonna get a stipulation. What are you gonna do?
They should do a Ring of Fire like Kane did back in the day.
I fell into a burning ring of fire. Becky Lynch did an in-ring promo to start the show. She is now Big Time Bex. # Big Time Bex. Love it. Interrupted by Bianca Belair, who challenged Becky again, and Becky again said no. So they announced that yes will happen at Extreme Rules, and there will be a contract signing this Friday. Did the graphic come up? There we go. There will be a contract signing this Friday at Madison Square Garden. Big Time Bex, looking good. And also, Brock Lesnar will be at Madison Square Garden as well. Lesnar actually called Paul Heyman in the middle of Heyman's interview with Kayla. Fun how Heyman has Brock's actual theme music as his ringtone for him. Absolutely brilliant. So Brock called to tell Heyman to deliver a message to Roman Reigns. That message was that Brock will be at Madison Square Garden. When Kayla walked away, we got Big E mopping the floor and around just laughing at Heyman with his Money in the Bank briefcase. Just laughing. Power of positivity. Big E's gonna strike at some point. So going from SmackDown, we're gonna switch over to Monday Night Raw from last night, and John DeConnie, RK Bro started in the ring. Going over their tag team turmoil teams, their potential opponents. Was interrupted by Bobby Lashley and MVP saying that Randy's in trouble for hitting the RKO that he hit on Lashley the week prior. Lashley issued a challenge. Randy wants the title, so they're going to go at it at Extreme Rules. But under one condition, and that was if Bobby and him and his partner P, I still call him the Hurt Business. I don't care. They want to be in that tag team turmoil match.
Absolutely, and we would eventually find out that they got their way. They got added to make it an 8-team field, and we got the first half of it to open the show.
Okay, can I just cut you off real quick? Did it shock anybody else? All right, let's just put Lashley and P on the side for a sec. Did it shock you that they had 7 teams for a Raw tag team turmoil match?
The first thing that came out of my mouth when they said that 7 teams were going to battle in tag team turmoil, and I said, where are they getting them from? Are they bringing people over from SmackDown? I don't understand.
Shocking, but legit for the most part. I mean, yeah, it's a couple of teams thrown together, whatever, but so is Riddle and Orton, so screw it. Go for it.
All right, so we started things off with the New Day defeating the Viking Raiders. The Raiders were setting up for the Viking experience, but Kofi had trouble in Paradise to take Ivar out of the way. Woods would roll up Eric. That one went 10.5 minutes, probably one of the longer ones of this whole tournament. And New Day moved on. Right down to the ring came Jinder Mahal and Veer. And they would get Jinder alone in the ring after taking Veer out. Woods would hit that doomsday coup de grace. They would take out Jinder and Veer in about 7 minutes. New Day holds their ground. Lucha House Party comes on down. Now, this one, I could not even come up with a name for this. Lucha House Party was going for some kind of wheelbarrow maneuver. They had Woods in, like, what do they call it, Casadora, whatever. Kofi trips Dorado, so he doesn't get to finish whatever the two-man maneuver was going to be. Woods hits like an upside-down Canadian destroyer from underneath Metalik and would roll him up for the win in 4.5 minutes. But just whatever that move was, I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
It was pretty spectacular for, a 4.5-minute throwaway match. No offense, Lucha House Party. Mason T-Bar would be next up for the New Day.
T-Bar.
He would attempt to go to hell on Woods, but Woods would avoid the knee at the end of that and roll T-Bar up for the win. They didn't take too kindly to that. They do not like the old Raw roll-up, so they would beat the ever-living hell out of the New Day.
They went full retribution on the New Day and on Ali and Mansoor.
Yeah, they would come down because they were next up, so they would get a beating as well. At one point, Kofi got lawn darted into T-Bar or into Mace, and Mace was holding the upper part of the stairs, so he bounced off of that. Not a good day. Pierce and Sonya make their way to the ring as we're going to a commercial break. Sonya announces, we're not ending like this. We'll give the guys some time off. We'll pick this up later in the evening. Oh, and by the way, Lashley and MVP are officially added, so it will be 8 teams overall.
So, has there ever in wrestling history been a to be continued?
Not to this extent. I don't believe so.
The only thing that comes to mind is the overtime of the 4-man Iron Man match in NXT on that Super Tuesday. But it's just like, oh my God, they just
there's been
continued us.
There's been matches where it's like there's interference and it's the first match of the show and then they run it back as the last match of the show and where there's no interference or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, shit, we just got to be continued. Okay,
or it's the longest match in Monday Night Raw history.
Yeah, right. This was like a 2-hour and 45-minute long match.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we pick up at the very end of the show. The last 3 matches, would end the show. We pick back up with the New Day versus Mustafa Ali and Mansoor. Ali would miss a 450 splash. Kofi would hit Trouble in Paradise. Wood hits that walk in the top rope elbow drop for the New Day to win yet again, 4.5 minutes. This would bring out AJ and Omos. And the former champions would finally take the New Day out when Omos just tossed Kofi around the ring and AJ would eventually catch him in perfect position to hit the Styles Clash. This one went almost 15 minutes, so I stand corrected. That was clearly the longest one of this whole schmeal. Mm-hmm. But this brings out dun, 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 dun. We get the Hurt Business. Lashley and MVP down to the ring. And the whole time, Orton and Riddle are sitting ringside by the commentary table, but they're not on mic. But we see them, commenting back and forth. And at one point, Lashley decides he rolls out. He starts jaw-jacking with Randy Orton. This gave AJ enough time to run across the announce table and hit a crossbody to take Orton and Lashley both out. Riddle would get in AJ's face, which would lead to Omos grabbing Riddle and just ragdolling him around ringside, bounced him off the barricade, tossed him across the announce table into the announcer's laps. This would give AJ enough time to get back up and roll Lashley back in and set up for what looked like a phenomenal forearm. He missed. Lashley would run the ropes and cut AJ in half with a spear for the win at about 4 minutes and 45 seconds. And this would anger Omos. So even though the match was over and there was nothing to be gained from it, he crawled in, he grabbed Lashley by his tiny little head and lifted him up with that double-handed choke slam and put him down real hard. Then he would pick his buddy AJ up and lead him away from ringside. Lashley was a little bit wobbly, but eventually made it back to his feet, only to suffer an RKO to put the exclamation point on the evening. And RK Bro would end the nights hitting the corners and holding up their tag titles triumphantly.
Yes. Okay. So before we get into the match, Lashley is in the beginning. He didn't take the RKO that Randy hit him 2 weeks ago. He didn't take that lightly. So is he going to let this go with Omos? That's going to be a fun question going forward. But immediately, maybe he'll address it on Raw, but on next Monday. But we have the tag title match. It's going to happen next Monday night. RK Bro going up against the Hurt Business. Is Bobby going to be a double champion, John Smith, going into Extreme Rules, where he'll put up the WWE Championship against Randy Orton?
I can't see it happening. I don't see this match having a clean ending anyway. I think it might even just be a disqualification. Like when RK Bro gets the upper hand, MVP is going to hit somebody with the World Championship belt, and that'll be then the bell will ring, and then they'll like beat the crap out of RK Bro or something like that. But I don't see the titles coming off him at all.
As long as John DeConnie, as long as MVP doesn't hit anybody again with that cane, the last time he did, somebody's still under the knife right now having surgery to get his knee repaired from that cane shot from MVP.
Yeah, that magical cane shot that takes about 6.5 seconds to set in the pain of it. But I think if we get a finish to that match, I think it's just too easy to have MVP count the lights and RK Bro to retain. But I like the way John's thinking that we get some kind of schmaz in that and roll that into Extreme Rules and maybe have everybody, have those guys double duty. Maybe jerk the curtain with the tag team match and then have the world title match at the end.
I can see that as well. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a title change. I'll probably just call that. It's exactly. P's either counting the lights or they're going to get disqualified. Charlotte Flair defeated Nia Jax to retain the Raw Women's Championship after Shayna Baszler got up on the apron to distract Nia, only to be hit by a leaping natural selection for the 1-2-3. It's finally over. There's no more Baszler and Jax as a tag team. Shayna walked away. She did her job, done and done. She cost Nia the championship. So they're going to have probably a small little feud. Then we can finally get back to Shayna Baszler to be the submission, just destruction machine, not neck biting machine, destruction machine that she is, that we want her to be. And I'm just excited about that. After the match, though, after they walked away, Charlotte's just standing in the ring, and Alexa Bliss came up on the Titantron, and she eventually appeared in the ring, saying Lily wanted Charlotte to come play with them at the playground. So Charlotte doesn't want to buy into the mind games, but she might just have to because that match was booked this afternoon for Extreme Rules. So it will be Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss. To go along with, Becky and Bianca on the other women's title. No stipulations or anything extreme like eye for an eye or something like that has not been noted yet. But we have about 3 weeks, I believe, until that takes place, so we have time for that. John Smith, there's a number 1 contenders match, and for the United States Championship, the winners get Damian Priest at Extreme Rules.
Yeah, we got another nice match from Sheamus and Drew. It wasn't as hard hitting as the trio or maybe even more matches they had over like the course of the wintertime. But it was kind of a throwback style match. They pulled out a lot of moves. Drew did this Kimura lock where he like rolled somersaulted them both to the ring, and it was a submission move. It was pretty cool. Drew ended up hitting a couple of Sheamus's moves, pulled the mask off his face. And when he went for the Claymore, Sheamus got the Raw roll-up with a handful of tights, and we have a new number 1 contender for the United States Championship.
Yeah, McIntyre got a little pissy pants after that, too. He hit him with the Claymore post-match anyway. That was a Hulk Hogan job right there. I don't like doing this. But then when Damian Priest does this, he shakes his hand. Yeah, but what's next for Drew McIntyre now? He can't go for the world title. He's not in the U.S. title. He already just beat Jinder. What do we do with Drew McIntyre? To be continued, I guess, with him. What's next? Ooh, Karrion Kross.
I hope so. I mean, as long as Karrion Kross ends up winning the feud in the long run, then that's fine by me.
Yeah, Karrion Kross. I'll just throw it to you right now, John Smith. It was, I believe, if we look at the bottom, it was around 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Is that more of a Karrion Kross squash match for you? Is that more like it? Does Vince like NXT guys again now that he's in control of it? Karrion Kross can start winning matches in minutes. 4 seconds. There it is, right there. At the bottom.
I don't like to see John Morrison get squashed.
No, I don't either. That's exactly.
Just put him in a feud with somebody for God's sakes. Like, why does he need to come in and just squash people and nobody will care? Like, make us care about him. Put him up against somebody for a long-term feud.
Well, it's going to be The Miz. Once The Miz gets back from whatever he's doing.
No, I'm saying Karrion Kross.
Oh, Karrion Kross? I thought you were talking about Morrison still. Sorry.
No, Kross. Like, he's coming, he's squashing people. That's fine. You know, he beat Keith Lee. Keith Lee beat him, though.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Vince just isn't handling him right. I can't stand it.
Keith Lee found his way off TV again real quick, huh? That was a quick little.
He's gonna turn heel when he comes back, SpongeBob.
Yeah. John DeConnie, we had a women's tag team contenders match, championship contenders match. Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash, they defeated Natalya and Tamina. Now, here's the question: are Natalya and Tamina not even just tag team champions, they're just overall championships? And are they the worst champions ever? They can't win.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, this would have made sense if Natty had just recovered enough from her ankle injury that they wanted to get the belts off of them. But to have them come back and not hand over the belts, and you know, the Knox and Shotzi they're waiting in the wings for a title shot. Like, if they're gonna keep losing, get the belts off them. What are you doing to these women's? Oh, Tamina finally has some gold, but she can't win as champion. It doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. So we had our super brutality team against the tag team champions. And at one point, Tamina was, out at ringside. She'd been taken out at some point. And Natty is putting the sharpshooter on Nikki. She doesn't realize Rhea had made the blind tag when they were in the corner. So she kind of sauntered up behind her and waited for her to get kicked off by Nikki Ash. And it was just the perfect position to hit the riptide for the 1, 2, 3. And now two teams basically are just chomping at the bit to get their tag team title match with Natty and Tamina.
We had a 24/7 championship match, actually an in-ring match. And I had one of those in a while. Actually, I enjoy that every once in a while. Let these guys wrestle a little bit. Take the stipulation off from bell to bell. Reggie got the win over Kira Tozawa after another flipping earthquake to retain the title. Then he got rushed by the 24/7 crowd. Unfortunately, in that crowd was Jeff Hardy, and that's been making a lot of noise on social media. All right, just send Jeff to AEW. Screw it. They can fit one more guy on the roster. Put him with Matt. Just whatever. Right? Get Jeff out of it. Isn't his business. Anyway, but also who remade their appearance was Drake Maverick. Suit and tie. He was all business. Wasn't chasing, just standing at the top of the ramp. Truth recognized him right away. I guess asked him how his wife was. That was funny. We're all wondering if Drake still consummated the marriage. That whole thing. Renee Michelle, we saw her at NWA Empower. She's doing well wrestling. She's actually getting very good. From before, we saw her in the Mae Young Classic. Then we didn't really see her in WWE wrestle, but there was a couple matches. She was in the Knockouts tag tournament, right? I believe they were eliminated by the Sea Stars, something like that. I don't know. Sea Stars should beat everybody. But Renee Michelle's doing well. And brought her up. But Drake Maverick back on the main roster. Good for him. Vince likes the big guys, right? So that makes sense. And then there was a backstage interview with Doudrop. I will not repeat what she said. We do try to cater to a younger audience here, and the potty mouth that Doudrop had with the names that she was calling Eva Marie weren't very nice. So we're not going to promote that, but they are. Yes, John DeConnie.
I've got a word for word if you want it.
No, we're good. I know you trolled me on this.
Go ahead,
Marie was not on Raw this week. Probably still recovering from the vicious beatdown that Doudrop jumped her from last week. Eva Marie, I guess it's time for Doudrop to get her comeuppance, John Smith.
Yeah, I don't see her winning it though. I got Eva definitely. She's gonna pull something out of somewhere to make it happen.
All right, John DeConnie.
If this is going to extend to the pay-per-view, which I kind of almost hope it does, so that they have some kind of stipulation match, Eva's got to find some way to cheat to win.
Hell in a Cell. Put him in the cell. Screw it.
Sure, why not?
So that was Monday Night Raw. Then Monday Night Raw, everyone always gets Raw crap. And, to tell you the truth, it seems lately, at least in my opinion, they've been more wrestling-centric than the in-ring, other than the opening segment. I know the opening segment, you got to start off. When did this become a thing? Welcome to Monday Night Raw. When did that become a thing, like Saturday Night Live? I don't know. Randy didn't do it this past Monday, but I guess that's a thing now.
It's always been a thing. Some people, like Stephanie used to say it every week.
Yeah, but I didn't realize it was like an honor. Like Nikki Ash took it as an honor. Damian Priest was like, I can't believe I finally get to say this. Welcome to Monday Night Raw. Like, I didn't realize it was live from New York. It's Saturday night. I didn't realize it was one of those things. But
it used to be just the authority figures got to do it. But yeah, now they're letting wrestlers do it. So now it's become a thing.
So it seems like other than the opening segment, it's been more wrestling centric. Like I said, they had a 2-hour and 45-minute tag team turmoil match, which is great. New Day shine. Shout out to Kofi. He was doing all the Kevin Nash things, and boom, he hit somebody. He hit somebody with a big boot. He put the fist up like Diesel. Kofi played it. He did well. My wife looked at me during the match. She's like, "That's right. I forgot Kofi's really good at these gauntlet matches." I'm like, "Yeah, he is." So we're gonna switch gears from Monday Night Raw to Thursday Night Impact. Both of them having to deal with football starting on this Thursday. So I know for most people it's going to be Tuesday morning Raw and Friday morning Impact, but Impact owns the night wrestling-wise. I would love to see the ratings Impact going up against Tom Brady this Thursday. John the Connie, Tommy Dreamer, he dusted off the record book where the last time he and Christian were in a triple threat match, Dreamer became ECW champion, taking the title from Christian by pinning Jack Swagger.
Yes, indeed. Christian made sure he remembered that he did not beat him.
Yes.
But, Christian then patted him on the back and said, "But I'm rooting for you tonight, buddy." So, yeah, we had Ace Austin versus Tommy Dreamer with the stipulation that should Tommy win the match, Tommy would be added to the Ace Austin Christian Cage Impact title match at the upcoming Impact Plus special. But this would not be the case. Tommy would kind of be, busy with Madman Fulton outside. He would eventually take Madman Fulton out of the equation. But as he, basically stepped back over the ropes to come back in, he was met with the fold immediately. And Ace Austin would get the victory. So now he will face Christian one-on-one at Victory Road. No pesky 50-year-old Tommy's in the way.
And I get my dream match. I got Jersey's top guy against my number 2, or the Schamberger. I got the Schamberger up there. Thank you, Kenny P. My number 2 guy behind Triple H all time. I'm excited for that one. I cannot wait for September 18th. John the Connie, we rattled off, like I said, there was 46 possible people that could have challenged Josh Alexander at last Thursday night. We rattled off a couple of them. Six-Pac. It could have been Low-Key we talked about. Turned out to be Jake Crist, and wasn't expecting him.
Yeah, I never, if you had given me 45 chances, I don't think I would have come up with Jake Crist.
Oh, that's right. That's just...
But, this one only went about 5.5 minutes, and Jake ate one of the nastiest divine interventions I've ever seen. I mean, he landed right on top of his head when Josh planted him. But it was less about the match than it was about the aftermath, because Mean Gia came in the ring afterwards, and she asked Josh, why would you open yourself up to this? Why the open challenge? What are you looking to do here? And he said, it was for his legacy. It was for the company, since he is the flag bearer for the company at this point. And specifically, it was because he wanted to make that list of the greatest X Division champions ever. And that would bring out the former 8-time X Division champion, who probably sits at the tippy top of that list.
The answer to that question was the greatest.
Mr. Chris Sabin. And so Sabin said, "Hey, you want to prove that you're at the top of that list? You're going to have to go through me. Victory Road, let's do it." They shook on it. Here we go.
2 dream matches for me at Victory Road. It's going to be an absolutely amazing show. Thank you for putting it on a Saturday night. Hopefully there's not like a big Pac-12 match or game or something, that Saturday night. Probably have to set up the 2 TVs for that.
When I saw Jake Chris' name written down, I thought that it was Jake something's new name, and I thought it was Jake Christ. I was like, what the hell are they doing? What kind of gimmick are they giving him? Jake Christ.
And only because it's Impact, that's totally believable.
There he goes, Jake something ripping off Jesus Christ. Yeah, the Chris brothers, formerly of former tag team champions of Ohio versus everybody, they're running around with Sami Callihan. I believe Jake was the one that we confirmed was married to Nevaeh, so they got that relationship. I guess we will not mention his brother. His brother is probably blacklisted from every wrestling promotion as a part of the speaking out movement going forward. So good to see Jake back. He shouldn't have to pay for his brother's crimes, so good for him. Taylor Wilde, Jordan Grace, and Rachel Ellering, they defeated the Influence after a German suplex pin from Taylor Wilde on Caleb with a K. I normally don't bring these up, but since this was probably one of the top maybe 3 greatest moments in Impact history, the Impact Plus match of the week was when Christian Cage defeated Sting to become 2-time NWA TNA champion. That is correct. Christian Cage defeated Sting. Bang. Thank you, TNA and Impact, for reminding us of that. Brian Myers' version of the Bachelor auditions was absolutely hysterical. Please go back and watch that scene. Absolutely. Brian Myers is just, every week, is just getting higher and higher. Him and Sam Beal together. They narrowed their field down to Zicky Dice, who I am familiar with from the one episode of NWA I watched about a year ago. He's pretty funny. A guy named Manny Lemons as well, who I'm not familiar with. But sure, let's do this. I like the stable. You got Sam Beal, Manny Lemons, Zicky Dice. Maybe Zicky might not stay around. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's kind of the clicky type. But let's see what happens from there. Rohit Raju and Mahabala Shira, they defeated Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green after Rohit hit a jumping knee, which is better than Kenny Omega's, by the way, on Chelsea for the victory. So shout out to Rohit. Good job. W. Morrissey interview about Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards was interrupted by Moose, who also has an issue with Sami and Eddie. So Moose, who has agreed with what Morrissey has said since Morrissey came into Impact, wants to form an alliance. They want to be friends. They want to form an alliance. So Sami and Eddie are in some serious trouble. Moose went in with an in-ring promo, which lured Eddie Edwards out. He proceeded to beat the crap out of Eddie. And then Morrissey came out and helped as well. Beat the crap out of him. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Because Sami Callihan didn't come out and help. Because they've been in this whole love-hate relationship. I don't want your help. I don't need your help. I don't need your help either. So Sami was nowhere to be found as per instruction. So this Thursday on Impact, or Friday morning for some people, we have Moose versus Eddie Edwards. So this is going to happen. These two, as we know, don't like each other. So John DeConnie, as our senior Impact correspondent, what do you got?
Oh, man. I'm assuming Moose, maybe Morrissey will be at ringside. I think Eddie will take the lumps here. Maybe finally it leads to Sami coming to help him, and we wind up getting a tag match out of it. But give me Moose in this match versus Eddie.
Yeah, I don't think it's that Sami's just going to stay behind John Smith. I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Give me Moose.
All right. Petey Williams apparently isn't getting the message that Macklin has been sending to him. So this week, one more time, and this time, it's mayhem for all. So we got Steve Macklin, we got Petey Williams. I have in parentheses here TJP involvement. TJP, Petey Williams, they weren't exactly getting along. I know TJP recently had a match with Macklin on being the Elite, the Impact pre-show. John DeConnie, where are we going with this? Win.
Yeah, I think we would more likely get TJP versus Petey out of this at the end somewhere, because I can't imagine Petey putting up much of a fight against Macklin. Give me Macklin in this match here.
All right, John Smith.
Yeah, it seems like Macklin's not going to lose for a while, so yeah, give me him there.
I completely agree. It'd be a fun triple threat with those three. Decay defeated Falaba and No Way after a leaping DDT off the second buckle by Crazy Steve on Falaba. Before that tag match, though, Tasha Steelz was in costume with a horse head and a hamburger suit. So very nice by Tasha being in No Way's conga line. She jumped Rosemary real quick, ran up the ramp being chased by Havoc, who then ate a clothesline at the top of the ramp by Savannah Evans. Nice plan by Tasha. Point received by the champs. This week we got Rosemary and Tasha Steelz in one-on-one action, which will probably lead to Savannah Evans and Havoc next week, leading to a Knockouts Tag Team Championship match at Victory Road. No, I have not seen the spoilers, but that's pretty much kind of a roadmap Impact likes to pave here. So, John Smith starting this one off there. We got Jersey here up.
Yeah, I'm going with Jersey on this one.
Hell yeah. The broad Brick Street Boricua or Brick City Boricua, right? John?
Brick City Boricua, absolutely. Yeah, give me Tasha in this one. I think they'll probably take both of these matches, and that's what'll lead up to the tag title match.
Yeah, so staying with this, plus going back to TJP. So backstage, Falaba and No Way claimed that they had no idea that Tasha was in their conga line. No Way just screw it, whatever wants to come party, let's party. So he wasn't like checking IDs at the door here. Then enter TJP, who returned last week and actually is Falaba's partner. So TJP made it a little awkward at first, but everything appears to be cool. All three of them are going to Swingers Palace next week, even though Falaba has a gambling addiction, because TJP has a short bet. And I'm pretty sure Falaba used to work there, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, he was a Swingerella at one point, right?
He was. We're going to have this feud continuing, John Smith. We got Chris Bay representing the Bullet Club going up against David Finlay. This interpromotional feud between the Bullet Club, Chris Bay, Juice Robinson, David Finlay. Yeah, we're going to keep going with this one.
Yeah, give me Crispy Chris Bay.
Chris Bay. I watched this on YouTube, the videos. They're called pitch meetings, and somebody was doing a pitch meeting to promote Chris Pratt. The guy's like, "Why do I want a Chris Pratt in my room? What's a Chris Pratt?" So I was like, "Oh, Gary, Chris Bay. It's Chris Bay. Chris Pratt." Anyway, John Licani, who do you got?
Yeah, give me Chris Bay as well in this one.
Yeah, Bullet Club. I'm sure. Let's see, they already had their match, right? Finlay and Switchblade, right? Jay White.
Yeah,
they already had their match, so I wonder why they're actually continuing with this. So.
Probably because it was taped a month and a half ago.
That's also. The Good Brothers did an in-ring promo making fun of Willie Mack, who was put in the hospital at the hands of the Good Brothers. It was a hospital in Impact. By the Good Brothers the week prior, which was interrupted by Rich Swann, who came down swinging a chair. Broken up by referees and security. We have a bunkhouse brawl. That's wrong, right? We have a bunkhouse brawl coming this Thursday night. Rich Swann, Karl Anderson. The big sexy Sex Ferguson, he will be probably somewhere in the area. Willie Mack, who knows if he's actually cleared to be in the arena, the studios. So, John Smith.
What's a bunkhouse brawl?
Yeah, just a nose qualification match.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like one of those things where they're going to be inside a barn or something with hay everywhere.
I'm sure there'll be bales of hay in ringside or something.
Yeah, why not?
Who was it again? I'm sorry.
Karl Anderson and Rich Swann.
Give me Rich Swann. Yeah, if it was Sex Ferguson, I would take the Good Brothers on this one, but no, it's Karl. So,
John Connie.
Yeah, don't be so hard on yourself for not remembering who was involved in the match, because the participants make no friggin' sense with the stipulation. But yeah, give me Swan. I'm assuming the what the hell is his name? Gallows will get involved, and it'll look like a 2-on-1, and then Willie Mack will make the save out of nowhere, and Swan will get the victory.
Yeah, they seem like they're on a collision course for Victory Road for the Tag Team Championship. So let's go with that. I'm going to take Swan as well with the beat down after. So now, switch gears. Fortunately, this is a little depressing for myself. I think John Smith is probably the same, but John Connie might as well also. I feel like we're main eventing. I'm main eventing this specifically with NXT. I feel like this is the end of an era here. This is the last week, I guess, those taped shows that they did a couple of weeks ago. And then next week starts the splattered paint era with Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard allegedly taking over. I said I'm not in those meetings. Where is it? I'm not in those meetings. I can't confirm that.
Yeah.
But we actually looked it up. It was June 20th in the year of our Lord, 2012 was the first episode of NXT tapings, not the reality show that took over for Tough Enough and replaced ECW. I think that was like 2009 or 10 or whatever it was. But the NXT that took over for FCW, they moved them to Winter Park, Florida. I always thought it was ironic that it was a Winter, Florida. But anyway, the first ever match, we looked it up. The first ever match was Bo Dallas versus Victor of the Ascension. So there's that trivia question for you. Thank you, John DeConnie, for finding that. And Ryan Joy, I believe, I can't remember who did it. But this is it, guys. I believe next week we got to use a new logo in the top left corner when we're picking those matches. We have a wedding next week. I think there's bachelor parties this week. John DeConnie held the main event last week, though, last Tuesday night between Ciampa and Rich Holland. This one kind of shocked me a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I assumed Holland would go, well, I don't know how far because I wasn't sure how long before he'd get pulled up to one of the main rosters, but I assumed he was going to go on a nice winning streak here. But after these two beat the ever-loving hell out of each other for about 12 minutes, Ciampa would catch Holland coming back into the ring and hit Willow's bell for the victory. Which afterwards would lead to Dunn, Lorcan, and Birch joining in on the beatdown of Ciampa, which would bring MSK down to clear the ring for the save, which leads into
the tag team. All right, we'll get to it now, sir. There is an NXT Tag Team Championship match tonight. MSK, they were like, you know what? They never lost the titles. Danny Burch got injured. Oney Lorcan defeated Finn Balor and Karrion Kross by himself the last time we saw this match. So they had no problems, John Smith, with giving Lorcan and Burch a rematch with the titles they never lost. So that's mighty fine, I guess, of MSK.
Yeah, it's Borkin and Lurch, by the way.
Borkin and
Lurch. Yeah, well, Oney Lorcan's actually stronger when he fights by himself in 2-on-1 situations, so I'm going to go with MSK on this one.
All right, there you go. John, I still would have loved to have seen Oney Lorcan just defend the titles by himself at Stand and Deliver. That would have been just awesome. With those three other teams, with MSK, with Grizzled Young Veterans, and with Legato, that would have been just awesome.
missed opportunity. But yes, give me MSK retaining as well.
Yeah, we'll do MSK. Because I know I got a title change later. So I can have both tag titles change on the same night. So might as well give MSK the win here. John Smith, LA Knight, Johnny Gargano. They kind of got into it a little bit 2 weeks ago with the whole world title situation with Samoa Joe, where everyone was kind of just, I think like 17 people came out. These were two of them. So they went at it. Plus Regal's office. That was funny.
Yeah, these two put on a clinic too, man. This should be a WrestleMania main event in like 5 years. You know, Johnny versus LA Knight. These two went at it. There wasn't a miscue the entire time. Then we get Dexter getting involved because he's on ringside with Indy, so he catches Johnny in a marriage position. Well, I don't know what the hell it's called, a cradle or whatever, and saves Johnny, but it just wasn't enough. So, we get LA Knight with the victory, right?
That was the big one. Yeah, the big one on Johnny. So LA Knight looks like he's going to be, up first for Samoa Joe. Rightly so. I think both LA Knight and Cameron Grimes should be rewarded for that Ted DiBiase, that whole feud, that whole one. John Smith, you weren't on here last week. Real quick, they tied a nice bow on that whole thing with LA Knight and Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase. And Ted DiBiase drove off into the sunset. We got to see the $1 Million Championship again. We got to hear his music again, which is one of the top 5 probably best themes from that era.
Yep.
I think we all agree Jive Soul Bro is number 1. But, John, your thoughts on that. I know you loved it. Everybody loved it. Just your final thoughts on Grimes' first night.
Oh, well, I mean, everything about that whole angle was awesome. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't even planned that way either at first. You know, Cameron Grimes was just screaming Ted DiBiase to the skies. They weren't attempting to do anything with that, but you know, us as fans just loved it so much that, you know, they got DiBiase involved and they parlayed it into a couple great matches, brought back the title for a minute. You know, we got to hear that song, and you know, are they keeping the $1 Million Championship around? I don't even know. Are they making a new belt?
DiBiase took it and gave Grimes a replica.
I know that, but like he's still listed as the $1 Million Champion. So like, are they going to make a belt for it? That's what I'm wondering.
Nah, I can't. I wouldn't. They could. I mean, you know, Vince is in control now. Who knows? But I guess John the Con, the only thing next is Ted DiBiase's All Elite. Sure, come on in.
Makes perfect sense. Sure.
All right. Samoa Joe did a sit-down interview with Wade Barrett. Joe wants to set a precedent on being NXT champion. He wants to be the standard bearer for the entire company. I like that. Saray defeated Mandy Rose via countout after Mandy ate a dropkick to the face. I love that dropkick. Fell out of the ring and received immediate attention from Gigi Dolan and Jason Jane, who helped her get to the back to get some help. So Mandy Rose apparently now has a face injury. So see what happens there. Kyle O'Reilly defeated Duke Hudson with a heel hook. Good showing by Duke. Really worked over Kyle O'Reilly's ribs. Ilya Dragunov did an in-ring promo, says he's heading back to the UK, but he'll be back soon. The ring general has fallen. Long live the Tsar. Roderick Strong defeated Ika Manjiro after 2 suplex backbreakers. Done and done. He's going to challenge Kushida at some point. It's going to be amazing. Now, if all these rumors are true that Vince wants bigger guys, he doesn't want, you know, what's going to happen to the Cruiserweight Championship? Like, it's going to just be completely just... We finally got to the point where we wanted it to be, and it's just going to go back to, you know.
Why is this whole bigger guys thing a talking point nowadays? Like, it's always been that way, and it's been getting, but they've been getting smaller throughout the years.
Yeah.
So I don't understand, like, where this is all coming from, that they need bigger guys. Carmelo Hayes just won the freaking breakout tournament.
Speaking of Carmelo Hayes, we'll get to him right now. Carmelo Hayes in the interview was interrupted by Legado del Fantasma, where Santos Escobar told Carmelo to stay away from the North American Championship. Carmelo took those as fighting words, John Smith. So Carmelo Hayes' first match post-breakout tournament got Santos.
Yeah, it's not going to be good luck for him, though. You know what? I could see them giving him like some sort of Raw roll-up type of victory on Santos and then get beat down afterwards. So, yeah, give me Carmelo on that one.
All right, John DeConnie.
Yeah, if Carmelo's going towards one of these titles, you would think they'd keep him clean at least for a little while. So I could see, you know, Hit Row getting involved here and somehow costing Santos.
Hit Row. Yeah, Hit Row costing Santos the match, or it's just gonna be straight up disqualification. Just going to come out and just beat the crap out of Santos. Well, that would give Santos the win, but like, you know, it has nothing to do with Carmelo Hayes. But then again, maybe Hayes will jump swerve. Maybe maybe they are figuring him into the North American title picture by this way. You know,
that'd be a hell of a triple threat.
Yeah, it would be. Yes, it would. Imperium defeated Drake Maverick and Grayson Waller after an Imperial Bomb. This Waller guy, he's got some energy, huh? See what happens with him. Hopefully Drake Maverick, he can stay on Raw. I feel like they've got nothing to do more for Drake Maverick and NXT. Put him on Raw. Let him have some fun up there. John DeConnie, you wanted to do the women's match. There was the NXT version of a championship contenders match.
Yeah, Jessie Kamea against best back in the business, Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel Gonzalez. And it didn't go very long. It was about 2 minutes, 45 seconds. The Chingbona Bomb ended it. But this match was more about the ending where Jessie Kamea was being walked to the back by Frankie. And Frankie and Raquel had a moment. They exchanged some unpleasant glances, and hopefully we're moving towards that because I think we all want to see that.
I'm just happy that they finally got rid of that gross, disgusting, just nasty-looking rabbit-infested dog that Frankie was walking around. It was gross.
I completely forgot about the dog already.
I know, right?
Hey, that dog had as good a timing as anyone on the NXT roster when she went after Robert Stone that one time.
Yeah.
Everybody, the two girls were around her going, "Oh, how cute, how cute!" Stone came over, the dog went, "Rah." That dog was made for TV.
That dog, and I joke around, that dog made Matilda proud with that. That was Matilda chasing down Heenan at WrestleMania 4. That was
Who's the best dog? Who's the best dog in wrestling history? I go with Pepper.
Are you going by taste or
too soon? Wait. Pepper. Oh God. Mei Ying is going to be in action this week. That's news to me. I found that out this morning. I guess sure we're going to she wrestled. I just thought this was a 1,000-year-old woman just sitting at the top of a chair. That apparently instead of a mist, she blows smoke. So. See what happens there. Kaylee Ray did an interview with that Sports Illustrated guy. Says she's dominated in UK, so now she's going to dominate here. Ember Moon told Kaylee Ray to take her name out of her mouth. If Kaylee Ray wants to come make her name for herself, then let's have at it. So we got Ember Moon, we got Kaylee Ray. John Smith, who do you got?
Give me Kaylee Ray. Ember is the main event jobber.
Yeah. All right, John the Connie.
Yes, Kaylee Ray all the way here. Ember Moon, the what do they call it in MMA? The gatekeeper.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, probably going to be the last match, the main event of the current NXT era. We put an exclamation point. Hopefully with new women's tag team champions as Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter finally get their tag team championship match. A match that they are predicting they are going to win as well. They consider themselves the favorites because they are a team. They do finish each other's sandwiches, or whatever the phrase was in Frozen. Where Io Shirai and Zoe Stark, Zoe's still giving her a hard time. You know, not letting. I'm sorry, did I say that right? Io Shirai's still giving Zoe a hard time. So, Io Shirai doesn't like anybody. She's made that abundantly clear. But she's willing to fight for the tag team championships. But it's about that time, John the Connie, where this Jersey girl gets her gold.
I completely agree with you, sir. And, you know, we know this is headed towards eventually Io turning on Zoe like she apparently does with all her tag team partners. So why not right here? Why not let Jersey hold that gold?
They have been the most consistent tag team, even the main roster, even on the main roster. Now, the Riot Squad was there, now they're gone. The Iconics, now the Iconics. This is the most consistent tag team in WWE across all three brands. You have to give them the championship, John Smith. Please, God.
I'd love to agree with you, but I don't think it's happening. They played hot potato with those belts a little too much at the beginning, and I don't think they're ready to split Io and Zoe up yet. So I'm going with them to take. Here's
the thing, though. Now it's all Vince. Now Hunter's, Hunter, thanks for nothing. You know. So you can put Io Shirai on SmackDown. You can put Io Shirai on Raw. Like I'm sure Vince is going to love Zoe. Zoe's got a bigger look.
Yeah, but don't you still need the payoff of the Zoe Stark and Io Shirai feud before you throw Io on Raw?
I guess maybe. Well, that will do it. Haynes, I'm gonna leave the NXT logo up there.
Dude, when Adam Cole came out on Sunday night, that's when my heart broke. Yeah, like all bets were off at that point. I was like, that's when I thought, hey. They should just move to Monday nights now and start a real war.
Yep. that would be interesting to see what happens with that. So that will do. We'll leave the NXT logo up there. We'll leave it up next week when we recap this episode, and then I got to go searching on that interweb thing for the splattered paint logo. So that's going to be fun. But here are our closing announcements. Once again, the primetime rundown powered by StreamYard with Joey Jarzenka, Ian Schreier, and Rob DeLuca. Now we'll be back on Friday nights, starting next Friday, September 17th, as they go through the world of sports right here on all the Eastern Observer platforms. For more information, please go to theeasternobserver.com. And once again, we are starting a survivor pool, elimination pool, whatever you want to call it. But without the eliminations, we're going to pick one team each week. It's going to be Team Central Wrestling Podcast. We're gonna put our football hats on. We're gonna go up against the Primetime Rundown guys. So please make sure you tune in on Friday nights. You never know. The Forbidden Door is now open. You may see one of us on there. And extra bonus points. You can see on the Primetime Rundown side, I got Joe Jarzanka, Ian Schreier, Rob DeLuca, Casey Bryant. Extra bonus points if you guys can pronounce the last name on that list right there. And I promise you, I did not just
Zitakowicz
on my keyboard. I did not just pound the keyboard for a bunch of letters.
I say it's Zitakowicz.
Zitakowicz. Tune in to the Daily Wrestling News Show Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. and get your morning cup of joy with Ryan and his band and merry co-hosts as they sort through all the hoopla. Also right here on all of the Eastern Observer platforms. The Body Slam Brigade, this newsletter, over 4,500 subscribers receive this weekly column each week. Make sure you go to minutestobelltime.com to subscribe. The Body Slam Brigade by Ryan for you for free. Make sure you pick up the Black Cats NYC new album, Free Cake. They are the official band of the Eastern Observer. Our theme music, the Primetime Rundown theme music, they are all songs performed by the Black Cats NYC, and their songs are on their new album, Free Cake. Please make sure you go to any of these music providers to pick up the album today. As always, the Essential Wrestling Podcast is sponsored by Pro Wrestling Pick'em, the internet leader in sports entertainment pick'em pools. Join us in the Essential Wrestling Podcast public pool to play against us or create a private pool with you and your friends. ProWrestlingPick'em.com. Play against your friends. Play against the universe. And also, we will be back here next Tuesday at 6 p.m. the same way you are watching the show right now, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, or if you're listening on Spotify or Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, you will be able to tune in and listen to us next week as well. So that will do it for us. Again, I drank too much water. I got to get the hell out of here, hopefully sooner than later. Hey. Taste the power, John Licani. John Smith, anything from your end?
R.I.P. NXT. It's the best 2 hours in wrestling, and it probably won't be moving forward after this week.
All right, let's try to remain positive. Hey, football starts this week on fantasy football. How'd your fantasy team do this Monday? Mine did pretty well, apparently.
What?
So your fantasy football team. You want to let John Licani know who your quarterback is?
Oh Jesus, dude! I took Tom Brady. There were already 9 or 8 quarterbacks off the board, and I had Tom Brady ranked 4th out of all of them. I think he's going to have a monster year. They have no running game in Tampa. He's gonna throw for over 5,000 yards.
I was choosing between Rodgers and Brady. I decided not to be a homer for one. I had Brady in one of my other leagues, so I took Rodgers in this one. John, any fantasy football things? Are you doing any leagues this year? Or?
Oh yeah, I'm doing a couple of leagues this weekend. I'm going to throw something together last minute, but you're safe with Brady as long as I don't wind up with him, because the last time I drafted him was the only time in his career he's ever been hurt.
Oh yeah, don't do that. They still went 11-5 and missed the playoffs. And Matt Castle, unbelievable.
True.
All right, so that'll do it for us. Larry, Steve, forever in our hearts. Alexa Bliss, we love you. I can go back to saying that now, legitimately, now that whole thing with Eva Marie's over with. John Licani, take it home.
Thanks for joining us, and as always, we wish you the best in all your future endeavors.
Now, do you think Mac Jones is like a Tom Brady variant in the Foxborough multiverse?